To our panel, please. You can tell we're top of the league, can't you? Right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, ladies and gents. For those who don't know who I am, I'm Nick Richardson. I'm the head of media at the football club. The guys to my right don't need any introduction, but I'll introduce them anyway. Chris, Alex, our owners, and Luke on the end there, our head coach. Very excited to be answering all of your questions. Thank you to everybody who pre-submitted their questions. I've got them in front of me here, and we'll go through those in the first part of the evening. Then there'll be a small interval at about quarter to 8, and then we'll go on to the questions from the floor, which is always an interesting time. So without further ado, I think we'll get stuck straight into it. And I know you'll all be pleased to hear that the first topic is transfers and contracts, which is always the most interesting subject that we raise at the Fans Forum. So the first question is to you, Chris and Alex, and it comes from Will Greasley. He says, how will you react to bids for key players in January? At the time of submitting this question, it's a case of when and not if we're approached.
Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, very nice to see so many of you. Our policy is that we don't have a policy that we will never accept an offer, but our view is that our absolute priority is to challenge for promotion. So we will only accept a bid for a player if that bid meets our valuation of the player, which for us means that we are confident that we can replace a player that may leave the club with another player, so that we are at least at the same strength. So our expectation is that we will keep the squad that we currently have for the rest of the season, but it's impossible to rule out anything. But what I can clearly say is that our priority is to go for promotion.
Thank you, Chris. Hopefully that answers your question, Will. Peter Dennis, to Chris and Alex again. We appear to have a smaller squad than most of our main competitors. Is the club financially in a position to sign additional players if needed to maintain a serious promotion push?
Yeah, I would say it is a possibility to bring in new players potentially, but we are really happy with the squad we have now, and I think it's also worth remembering that we might have a small squad, but I think we have a lot of all the players are at a level that they can go into the starting lineup. So I think we may have a slightly smaller squad, but we've got a really strong squad, and I think we're happy with that. But we may look at adding if we think there are some areas we could be even stronger.
Just one thing to add there, of course, because in the National League there's no transfer window, so we have more flexibility to act in case of injuries or whatever that might happen to strengthen the squad. So that gives us the ability to maybe run with a slightly smaller squad than if we were in a league where we were constricted by a transfer window.
Great. Luke, I'll bring you in on that one as well, if you don't mind. What's your view on that situation of squad size?
Yeah, I think the reason that there's no window, in the National League is so that many clubs don't need to carry a bigger squad. To have potentially three or four players outside the playing squad on a match day squad, can be a huge expense. Of course, we're very fortunate because we've been given very good backing. But of course, we don't need to carry those players. I think one of the issues I've always felt, working in the EFL is when you have players that don't make the bench and they're outside the squad for a long time, they become demotivated. That energy is negative around the players that are involved. And so I think that can actually cause issues for many clubs. I think you survive better when you're winning because players are more patient, even if they're not in the squad. But here, if we lose a very key player, I have no doubt that the guys will respond very, very swiftly. I've got no doubt that we'll be able to attract the best players that we can, because we are very competitive in the division. So I believe that we'll be able to bring a stellar player in if we lost a stellar player from regular starter. So I think we can relax to some extent about the maybe not having huge volume of the squad. We have a very, very highly motivated squad at the moment. Everybody feels like they're very close to being on the pitch.
Thanks very much, Luke. Next question comes from Clive Andrews, and it's to everyone, but we'll start with Chris and Alex. In view of where we are currently in the league table, would now be considered the right time to strengthen?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point from in that question. We're always looking to strengthen our squad, always want every season to have a stronger squad than we had in the last season. But of course, if we are in a specifically good position as we are now, there's a good argument for looking to make the squad even stronger.
Luke, I'll pass it over to you. Is there any feeling from you that you really desperately want to strengthen at all right now?
No, I mean, I think that the setup that we have is one that allows me really to focus heavily on the players. I spend a huge amount of time, obviously, on the training pitch, and then after training, there's a huge amount of work that goes on with the players in smaller groups, in units. Defenders work with me together, and midfielders sitting outside waiting for me, looking at their watches and wondering how long I'm going to be. And then, the next day is individuals line up out and come into my office one at a time to individually go through the key things in their game, and so much of the game and so much of life is about how people feel, and the pressures that they're carrying, and how they see themselves within the group. All these things take a huge amount of time and effort, and so I really try to concentrate on each player that we have in the building and give them the absolute maximum amount of time that I can give them. And of course, I am part of the process of players arriving at the club and players leaving the club, but we have fantastic support, people that are really looking day in, day out. I'm shown video footage of potential signings. Myself and all of the coaching staff went to watch, just to give you an example, we went to watch Norwich play against Nottingham Forest at Alfreton Town the other night. It was like a monsoon, but it was a good experience because there's one or two players there that are very, very interesting for us. And again, if we were in a situation where we felt like we needed to strengthen, we're not then panicking, okay, we need to strengthen, let's go and start looking at players. We already have many things lined up, and many reports and so on players, and we are ready to strike it, like this quick. So I think that we can, again, we will have a situation where I can be very, very hands-on and spend a huge amount of time with the current players in the building.
Just to stay on that point, Luke.
Yeah.
How does the recruitment system and the sort of the platform that we have here compare with the other clubs that you've worked at?
That's a really good question, and really, really honestly, is much more streamlined than I've ever seen. Here is much more together. I've seen some very bad examples of men with very, very big egos trying to sign a player for them, not for the manager, trying to sign a player because they know an agent. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it's reality that men are flawed, men and women, particularly men in football, can be quite flawed in terms of like not having necessarily the vision of the club going forward, having a vision of themselves and their preferred thing, and an outside influence affecting their decision. We have clarity here, and we have a group of people working exactly on the same line, and for me, it's the best example I've seen. I've seen clubs with no recruitment policy at all, like none. Like Swindon Town, we go to the playoff finals. We're 90 minutes away from the championship. We have not one scout. We have no head of recruitment. We're relying on sometimes even the players telling us my friend is out of contract and he would love to come in and train. Honestly, to be 90 minutes away from the championship with that type of policy is very, very scary. You know, because the club are not set up for what is coming. Here is very much people ducks in lines. You know, as everybody is focused on one goal.
Thanks, Luke.
Just one thing to
Yeah,
add to
absolutely.
that specific question. I think because we're in the fortunate position that we perform very well, then looking to strengthen the squad, I think certainly makes sense. If we are in a position where we have a strong promotion chance, then I think what the person answering the question is suggesting is that then it makes extra sense in that scenario, and I agree on that. But it's also very clear that there isn't a sort of 100% correlation between what you pay for a player and what that player delivers on the pitch. And because we perform so well, it is simply harder to strengthen the squad. So we are very focused on sort of striking at the right time, making sure that if we strengthen the squad, it's a genuine strengthening of someone that can really add value.
Yeah, and as I think Luke outlined, the whole idea of the way we do things is that when that right time does come or that right player comes along, you've got background on that player, you understand who they are, what sort of player they are, and you can act quickly.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Declan Foster is the next question. Are there any players you have identified as serious transfer targets?
I mean, I mean, we really believe in that we need to be prepared. So we're always looking for interesting players, and we like to be thorough and make sure we get the right one rather than getting the first one. So it might take a while, but we're always looking.
Thank you very much. Tyler White, next question. Due to the good form we've shown, would we look to offer contracts to some of our players whose deals are due to expire at the end of the season? So moving away from sort of the new signings sort of question and more onto retaining the talent that we've got within the squad.
Yeah, we are always, of course, reviewing the contract situation, and clearly the fact that we have performed so well makes it more likely that we may look to retain as many of the players in the current squad as possible. I think right now we're just focused on the performances on the pitch, but of course as we get closer to the new season, we will start to have those discussions more concretely.
Excellent. Final question on this sort of subject. A man obviously we've not seen much of, Frank Vincent. He's been out on loan at Aldershot for the most part of this season. Malcolm Bullard would like to ask, and I'll ask it first to you, Chris and Alex, and then I'll bring you, Luke, in, because I know that you've been watching him very closely, haven't you, in his loan spell. Is it likely that Frank Vincent has played his last game for us?
Hard to predict, but what I would say, I think he's a really good player. His physical output, running back and forth between the areas, is incredible. So the fact that he went down alone is, I think, not a result of any weakness in him as a player, but more that we were in a good situation, that we had a lot of other good players in his position. I can't predict what will happen in the coming years of his career, but I think I like him as a player, but I think the right thing for him was to go on loan, to be able to play very regularly.
Luke, as I mentioned, you've been keeping a close eye on Vinny, haven't you? What have you made of what he's doing over there?
Yeah, first of all, Vinny's like a incredible guy as well. You know, that's the most important thing about Vinny that everyone needs to know, is like every single day he's incredible. And you know, when you're struggling for minutes on the pitch, it's very, very normal for players to feel like detached from everybody and can start to feel like a bit of a victim, like it's personal. But honestly, Vinny, every single day, he trains like he's the star player in the team. He's with the guys. He's always included with everything because he puts himself there and he never felt sorry for himself. But each of the players is like different. You have to look at their situation individually. And Vinny desperately wanted to play, and I didn't see like an obvious clear path for him to be in the team at the time. Selfishly, I felt like I could convince Vinny to stay here and be around because he was such a good guy and such a great energy. But that honestly would have been quite selfish for a guy in the situation that he was in, his personal circumstance. He was desperate to play, and I felt like I needed to give him that. I keep an eye on Vinny. It's great because we can download all the footage and we can see every action that he made for shots. And he has done exactly what we expected him to do, and has been driving the team forward with energy. He's been involved in and scored goals, and he's been very good. What will happen is difficult to know because so many guys perform well, and then Vinny and I need to have an honest discussion when the loan period comes to an end to say, look, when you come back, maybe you're going to have to spend some time trying to fight your way into the team, and you may need to be fortunate. One guy has bad form or touch whatever, but somebody picks up an injury. It's normal. It's natural in football. So maybe an opportunity is going to come, but there's no way of telling a player, this time next month you'll be playing. It's impossible. So we have to see what the situation is with our squad when Vinny's loan finishes, and then decide what the plan is for him.
I know that we've got a lot of keen supporters of our academy in the building, so I'll ask a question about another couple of loan players that we've got out at the minute, Luke. Luther, Minikandaffa and Tiernan Brooks, two young players who are out on loan at the minute. How are the clubs sort of monitoring their progress, and what would you say about the benefits of those two being out on loan right now?
Yeah, I think that for Tiernan, I think that the key thing that we identified as a group of staff was that he needs to play senior football. He needs to be toughened up a little bit, and he just needs that exposure, to senior football with a crowded box and guys trying to tread on his feet and all the things that go on in there, and some pressure, a few people behind the goal. Sometimes it's worse when there's only a few and you can hear the individual comments can be really, really cutting. So he needs to be exposed to that, and he's doing that now. We're happy with that, and he trains very, very well. So we're happy with that situation with Luther. Honestly, Luther, I think, found the intensity a shock, and maybe needed a bit more time to adapt to the intensity every day, because from day one is okay. Then week one, a few people start to feel it's a bit much, and then 1 month into training is becoming very, very demanding for some. Others are completely getting to grips with the expectations, and I think for Luther, a young guy, he found it very difficult to day in, day out, to train at the intensity that's really required. And so, again, it's a great opportunity for him to go and play some football, feel a bit more himself, relax a little bit. But I think maybe the environment here is just maybe one year away, 1 season away for Luther to really feel completely comfortable.
It was a nice long answer, and you've got a nice long section to dive into now. Team performance / tactics is the next wave of questions. Now, we are top of the league, but nevertheless, there's some of the questions come up every season, and set pieces is always never far away from the agenda. Tyler White, what is the thought process behind our goal kicks? Our approach seems to have worked most games until Wrexham put 2 men there to press Slocum and Rawlinson. I should say that some of these questions were submitted a few weeks ago, so we've seen a few different approaches to goal kicks and other set pieces this season, Luke, but goal kicks specifically, what's the thinking?
I cannot reveal every single thing, honestly, because it will give me a problem. I think I'm right in saying that we have the most goals in the division from open play. Is correct? I think we certainly have the most, Richard, from goalkeeper involvement. The amount of times that we scored a goal that began with the goalkeeper and ended in a goal. The idea is to begin a chain reaction. The idea is to, I'm already saying too much. But look, I think the most important thing as well to understand is that I'm never going to allow the team to become one-dimensional and to be lined up and for teams to work on for a whole week, from Saturday to Saturday, to say, okay, they do this. Now we set up the second team to do this goal kick action over and over again until we work out how to stop it, and then we're going to pounce on them and try to score. And so I won't allow the players to be lined up for failure. But the tough thing is that the balance between when to kick the ball and when to find the pass, the margin is very small. And I would say over the period of time that we've been playing from pre-season to now, our margins have been very, very good. We made the decision, and I say we because it's, of course, Sam in goal, but then, 4 or 5 outfield players have a key role in getting the ball into flow from the goalkeeper. And if they don't do their bit, it's impossible. Then sometimes we sit there in the meeting, of course, and I know the guys are sitting there, don't want to see it, but pause, press the pause button when the pressure is coming to Sam and he's about to make a decision. And then, of course, when you watch on the TV and there's no pressure and there's no spectators and it's not happening so quickly, you can see the pass very, very clearly. It's easy, very easy. We can all play the perfect game with the TV behind us, no doubt. But in reality, things are happening quicker. Then I think this is a really interesting point with Wrexham, because we began the game, we were able to find a way of getting the ball into free play from Sam really quite comfortably. And then we scored, and then suddenly we find a reason why the pass is not on. Because when you put the ball a long, long way away from the goal, there is and it's wrong, but there's a feeling that we're safer. But the reality is that we're actually not safer. Often the safest thing is to play through the middle of the pitch and secure the ball in that way and move the team together. But yeah, we have to get the judgment right on it, and it's difficult. And teams have tried to do different things, like one pressing, two pressing, one pressing, and try to surprise us, try to shut the pass back off to Sam. So we try to work on all the different options that we think the opposition will try to do, and then of course the players on the pitch have to remember, 5 or 6 different routines. I think anyone who was at the game, we saw a very maybe it wasn't something that was recognised, but the opposition put one on the 18-yard box, and then Whitley tried to wait for the pass and then jump out, but Aidan Baldwin has rehearsed this with me, and he's very smart. So he waits for the guy to jump too early and then chips the ball over his head for Connell. And then Connell is a very, very big man, and persuading him to dive on top of the ball was difficult. But, if the opposition put too much pressure, then we have to use any way of bringing the ball into open play. So sorry, the answer is very long, but if I tell you everything, it's even longer.
No, absolutely. And I think it'd be good to stay on set pieces very briefly, because I think everyone in the room, I've been at the club 6 years now, I think everyone in the room would probably agree that the level of creativity in terms of our attacking free kicks this season, for example, the goal against Wrexham, the goal at Wealdstone, it's been fun to watch. And obviously when it ends up in the back of the net, it's even more fun. But how much pride do you as a whole staff, because I know it's not just you, Luke, but how much pride do you take in the work that you do on the training ground for those moments, but also seeing them come off?
Yeah, absolutely. For example, like Wealdstone, we worked on the goal on the kickoff. Because we identified that we thought there may be a problem in their organisation from kickoff, and I think just over 2 seconds into the game, Ruben has a shot on target, and that is a group of coaching staff that are watching the opposition very, very keenly. We try to make appropriate set piece actions for the opposition. So, for example, the corner that we score, you have to forgive me because I forget the opposition, but Carl Cameron crosses the ball from Adam Chickson very quickly. I think it's Maidstone, the first goal. You know, and we said for this particular game, when the ball goes out of play, if Aaron Lemaine or Adam Chickson are the closest player to the ball when it goes off, which is likely because the two wing backs, as we know, high and wide all the time, they don't come into the middle of the pitch too often like number 10s, and they don't stay back with the back three and be too shy. They're very aggressive. So I said to Adam Chickson in particular, you know, if we attack your side and the ball goes off for a corner, immediately spot the ball, roll the ball back to Kyle. Don't worry about taking your time, get all the big guys up, set up a routine in the box. Forget all that. Make it as if we're playing from open play, because we make this action a lot when Chickson is trapped. He rolls the ball back in a very sympathetic way for Cammy to hit first time. So I said, look, we're very good from open play. You know, we're very, very good. And we believe that Maidstone, when they see the ball go off for the corner, they will turn round, start to walk to the box, try to remember the number of the guy they're marking and these type of things that is normal. So we try to catch them out. And, of course, on the day, it worked. Plenty of times it doesn't work, you know, but on the day it works. So we try to do this type of work. You know, Wheelie is incredible because Wheelie tries to look at which guy falls asleep a little bit more and which one steps too early and too late and all these type of things. And then once we've done all of that, of course, the players, you know, once we've done all that, Matty Palmer can hit the ball into Aaron Lemaine like, you know, it's like inch perfect. You can practice it all day long and get it wrong, but Matty can just go there immediately. And so we're fortunate because the players can deliver these set pieces.
Alex, I know you and Chris are football fanatics. You love watching football. Has that creative element in those sort of set-piece, dead ball moments, be it from a goal kick, a throw-in, a free kick, has that been something that you particularly enjoyed about this season so far?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed the one against Wrexham, and also
I think we all did.
and another one as well, the one in the game against Wealdstone. I was sitting next to Jim O'Brien, and he told me a bit about the plans for the free kick, so I sort of knew what was going to happen. And Ruben played Chickson. I think everyone thought that he was going to shoot. So yeah, I really enjoyed this season.
Perfect. And that leads me nicely on to the next question, which comes from me and Gil, and it's to Luke. I think Jim O'Brien is great. I think we all do. What have you done, Luke, to help him reinvent himself this season? Or did Jim suggest how he could be a bigger influence in the way you want the team to play?
Yeah, definitely knows Jim, huh? No, look, I think with Jim, he's, as much as he likes to, you know, he winds everybody up. Everybody at the club he winds up, you know, in the best possible way. And he's an incredible guy. And there was more characters like Jim in football, and there's less and less and less. So, you know, we're blessed to have him and to still have that type of mentality. But no, the other thing that is maybe not as, you know, as really as obvious with Jim is that he's very, very intelligent about football. He's very bright, and so a lot of the work that I do, it can be demanding, because as you can probably tell already, I talk a lot. Yeah, so the players have to listen to me a lot because I need to get across the ideas, and sometimes the ideas get complicated and I get excited and then I'm going. But Jim is very, very bright, and he's beginning to think about his coaching journey, and he's doing his coaching badges. And so really just like, I think being able to absorb a lot of information, you know, some of the guys for sure, I know that I'm coaching them. We do the meeting, I'm coaching them, and I know that they're thinking about playing Call of Duty, you know, for 20% of the time, but I have to repeat again, and bit by bit, of course, stuff goes through, hopefully, you know, but Jim will be one of those guys that he's listening, and then he's going to think about what you says when he's driving home, and then he come and talk to me the next day in training, you know, I was thinking about this or that, and then bit by bit, I felt like he really started to, like, be on the pitch and say, like, okay, boss, like, I'm going to do more things that you like and what you want me to do, and really became like a leader. I think, you know, the Wrexham game was like, it was awful because he picks up the injury, and I think he's in that game, like, stopping Wrexham from getting a foothold. He stopped them getting a foothold in the game, because when they thought we were going to go quickly through the lines, Jim stopped. When they thought that we were going to play slowly, Jim broke a line. When somebody ran forward, he balanced off and made sure that we're secure behind the ball. because sometimes Matty, for example, he loved the ball so much. I'm screaming. That's why I have no voice. Yeah, you spotted I have no voice every game because I'm screaming, Matty, protect the middle of the pitch. But Jim is like, don't worry, I'll go. And he balanced off for the guys, and I think he enabled everyone on the right side of the pitch to feel more comfortable, more brave, because before the ball is coming, he's saying, Aaron, be there a bit more. Wait, and he's looking in the future, and yeah. So I think Jim just likes football a lot. He listens to me. He's one of the few that can listen to me without falling asleep, and then he can take on the information. He's very, very bright, and then he go on to the pitch and try to actually physically do the stuff that we talk about.
It's nice to see, obviously, recognition for Jim, because I think many of us may have been guilty of almost forgetting about the amazing impact he had at the start of the season, given the fantastic results that we've had over the last 8 games. How far away is he now, Luke, and how much of a boost will it be to have him back?
Yeah, the training ground is getting noisier because he's in like half the session, and then he goes and suddenly there's like a bit of calm. But no, he's getting very close to like being able to train the full session. But probably realistically like another 4 weeks before we feel like he can, really, really be there. And then of course we have to see how the squad is, because Jim maybe have to be patient and wait, but Jim is one of the players that I will always take home and away. As you know, he's sitting there at Willstone. He's miles away from being fit at that point. But I asked him, would he mind, to travel with the squad, even though he has his rehabilitation work to do. Then when he gets to the stadium, he has to do more rehabilitation work on the pitch before the game. But he was instantly yeah, I definitely want to be there. And the half-time whistle go to I normally meet with Ryan and João Alves and George Lawty, and we discuss key things from the half. And then Jim, he's in my ear shouting at me like crazy, 500 things. I was like, okay, brilliant. But how can you not enjoy to have that type of enthusiasm from a senior player? It's incredible.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear him. He was very loud during the game, that's for sure. But yeah, I guess he's one of the only players who's been here the whole time since Chris and I took over the club. And yeah, it's really interesting to hear. Now I understand everything he says as well, which helps. In the beginning, it was maybe half of it. So yeah.
He gives 1,000,000%, as you say, Loz, correct, yeah. We talked about all the good stuff, Luke, and I know this is a question that you'll be asking yourself all the time. How do you think we can improve?
Yeah, I think that, for example, he's very, very disappointed that Bromley had too many openings in the game. And depending on different oppositions, we have to consistently keep opposition chances to a minimum. I think that the other thing that we can improve to some degree is for example, I watch the game back 3 times quite often to really make sure that I've broken it down into the bits that I can show the players and so on. And I'm watching the game and we are in control. We make an action to the penalty box. We recover the ball immediately. We go to the box. We recover the ball immediately. We go to the box. And then there is one loose pass in the middle of the pitch from Kedwin, which is normal. It's one loose pass, and they play immediately to Cheek, and Cheek goes through and skips around Sam. Aidan Baldwin has to make his, like a Superman recovery run and block the shot. For me, I feel like, and myself and the players as well, we're all guilty to some degree of now we feel really a bit more anxious than we need to be, because our opposition fended off Maka 1v1 with the goalkeeper twice, hit the crossbar. We hit the crossbar 4 times in the game. Their mentality, for example, with Bromley, their mentality is we go in there, we have 5 players in a line, 4 players in front, and 1 just waiting, maybe cheating for an opportunity. And they survive countless attacks, some extremely good chances, really clear-cut chances. They go 1-0 down. But for them, it's yeah, okay, we expected to face, plenty of chances against us and to ride our luck. But for us, I think we we need to like get immediately back on the horse. You know, we have to say, okay, they had one moment, relax. We play exactly the same way. I think we can be guilty of like hesitating to a degree and feeling anxious after a big event, and I want us to be braver, stronger to be able to say, okay, yeah, they had a chance, but okay, we're human. You know, we're a good team, but every team can have an opportunity. You know, I watch, as we all do, sometimes the best teams in the world. You look at Manchester City, and you know, there's a one-on-one. There's a one-on-one from the opposition. I watched Manchester City, the goalkeeper kicked the ball the length of the pitch. Cancelo tries to jump in and make a wrong decision. Mo Salah go through one-on-one and scores. It happens. But we have to be better at going, okay, now calmly go back to what we were doing that was working before and not compound one mistake. So often we see one and then another one very quickly afterwards. And this is the area we have to mentally be stronger and accept that we, at times, Aidan, you are allowed to run back and be Superman. Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed to defend. It's not like we're so good we can never give up a chance.
That was an incredible moment, wasn't it? The highlights did that moment justice for everyone. I guess most of you were there for that Aidan Baldwin block, but the pace in which he got back was unbelievable. Thank you for some very insightful answers on that topic there, Luke. A few on sort of club facilities and infrastructure next. So, Chris and Alex, this is a question from Philip Hall. Are there any plans to upgrade the facilities in our concourses? They're becoming quite derelict and worn down, particularly in the COP. It takes a long time to get served because of the lack of kiosks. The beer is warm and the food is cold. Sorry to hear about that experience, Philip. I would like to think that would have been an isolated incident, but nevertheless, any plans to look at the concourses and the facilities within the stadium?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to look at. We will review all these points that are being brought up. There are many areas in the stadium that we are trying to improve. So, yeah, we will definitely look at this and review it.
Yeah, I should say that the club is in a constant sort of period of trying to improve in every area. You know, we've got some very hard-working staff. Head of commercial Jordan is there. If anybody wants to speak to Jordan at the interval about anything relating to that, that's fine. He heads up a department of people who deal with many elements of the match day. We are constantly looking to get better. That's on the pitch and off it. So please be assured that we are looking to improve in every area. Peter Dennis, another question. Leasing the home road training ground from Forest has been a very good short-term solution. Do you have any longer-term plans for developing our own training facility?
Yeah, that is something we'd like to do long term, but I think home road has been fantastic for us so far, and we have a really good relationship with the people at Forest. So for now, that's working really well. But we would like, of course, to have a more permanent solution in the long term. But for now, we're really happy with home road.
Luke, happy with what you've got down there?
Yeah, it's honestly is a fantastic place to train because, you know, it's very secluded, it's private, really. I know the park is there, but with the trees are like, you know, 10 foot higher than anyone could see. So the pitches are fantastic. It's a short distance. At some point, you know, for the club to go to another level, we'd like to have the facility there. Of course, we're talking about huge cost and obviously permissions and many different things. I know there's a problem to get, for example, running water at this site, which is the reason that Forest have never developed there. But there's ways and means. But I think, you know, to have a dedicated facility so that the players can do their conditioning work there and be away from the stadium for their training, changing areas and so on and so forth is like the only thing that can be improved, because the pitch here is immaculate. The pitches at the training ground are immaculate. The environment, like I say, we were on the river one side and, you know, like a natural park on the other side. It's perfect.
Thanks, Luke. Robert Dawson to Chris and Alex. Are there any plans to build any restaurants, hotel rooms, new conferencing facilities to generate more revenue all year round as well as on match days. And it's a serious point. Generating off-field revenue is important, and it's going to be crucial to growing the club. So what would your response to that be?
Yeah, we don't have any plans about hotels and restaurants right now, I'm afraid. But it is an area where, generating revenue off the pitch is, of course, an area we're looking at. And as you may know, we are setting up the paddle courts, and they're almost ready. We're quite excited about that. It's a great game. I play it a lot myself, and I think it's going to grow a lot in the UK. So I think hopefully fans and other people in the community are going to enjoy those facilities. I think the players, maybe Luke, want to give it a go.
For sure. Yeah.
I think it's quite popular with football players. It's the top of the game. So hopefully that will be a good addition that can also generate some revenue. So that's the plans we have for that. And
obviously, your plan, Chris and Alex, is to take the club into the Football League and then hopefully on again. How much does the idea of potentially building the club's infrastructure and building new facilities and other revenue streams, how much easier and more viable does that get in a higher division?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it will certainly be more viable in a higher division where you have more stable income stream from the Football League. So yeah, as Alex said, we don't have very concrete plans on any of these facilities right now, but certainly I could see in the future when we are hopefully back in a higher division to look at these sort of things.
Great. Well, coming up to the interval, well, maybe another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll break. I'm going to embarrass Luke here and ask Michael Brown's questions. Chris and Alex, what impressed you most about Luke when you interviewed him?
I'll go for a coffee.
It was a very good interview we had with Luke, and there were several things that impressed us. I think one thing that really impressed me was the whole way that Luke analyzes football, which I think we've also got an insight to from his previous answers. He explained some game strategies that he would apply in different match situations. When we interviewed him, which I thought were very fascinating and just showed a very detailed approach to the analytical side. And I think Alex and I, and with our background, we also we are well aligned with that way of looking at it. And I also felt like Luke's view sort of was that these are things that they're very complex, and you can keep improving them. You can't solve football sort of strategically. It's just a complex game in a good way. There's always a challenge. We can always get better at developing tactics and game strategies and so on. So that really impressed us. And on a personal level, we thought that, Luke seemed, and that has been confirmed from our working experience with him now, that he is someone that we could get along with really well on a personal level as well. It was a positive first impression, and we are very pleased that we were able to make the appointment.
I think everyone's pleased we were able to make the appointment, aren't we? Yeah. And I will give you a right of reply, Luke. I'm interested in this. What's the Chris and Alex interview like?
Yeah, it's terrifying, of course. It's terrifying. But no, honestly, it was, as you can probably imagine, it was extremely professional. I've met people in motorway services, and they talk at you for an hour, and then they listen to you for 2 minutes and on their phone, and of course if you can imagine the complete opposite to that. Everything was laid out. They had bundles of information, knew more things about previous teams that I've worked with than I did, because they have an incredible way of being able to extract information. And I think, from my point of view, football is many different things, and football is about emotion, and football is about trying to inspire the players, Football is me to try to kick the ball with the players on the pitch, to be up and down the touchline, to show the passion, the enthusiasm. But then there is another side, because you need then to be able to bring yourself back down to earth calmly and to try to work out the truth. Because of course we have a natural instinct to say, okay, we won, everything's good. We lost, everything is bad. You know, this player made one mistake, they had a bad game. You know, this player scored, they had a good game. But so often it's not the truth. It's not the truth. And if we go to the training pitch, or we have a meeting with the player, or we go to half time or before the game, and we talk like, okay, you know, we've done this, and if we make this many passes, blah, blah, blah. You know, no one's in that moment before they go out. You know, the moment the gladiator comes up on the thing and he comes out and he has to cut everyone's head, he doesn't want to have a calm conversation. He doesn't want to have a, you know, rush. We do the training ground, we work calmly, rational. We discuss how we are, what path we're on, where we think that we are doing well and where we're not. Try to find the truth. But then match day, or, you know, a tough training session, or an individual meeting or a group meeting, is also about, like, you know, it's about enthusiasm, passion. It's about, like, people wanting to do like a physical act. It's about Aidan Baldwin running back at you know, full speed and throwing his body to block the shot. It's about, you know, it's about Ruben nutmegging every opposition player. This is like these things are like the love of football. These things are, but if you can combine the both together, then hopefully you can find the path which is the most accurate path. And it's what we are trying to do. And this was kind of established. I feel like this was established when we sat down to talk the very first time. Was like, we both, from both sides of where we were coming from, we want to find the truth, but we also love sport and football more importantly. Of course, you have a great love for tennis as well, no? And you understand that when you're on the tennis pitches, blood and guts, and there's a time when you're tired, but you have to make the shot. There's a time when, you know, you feel like you haven't got the power, but you have to find it from somewhere. So to try to merge the two things together is our mission, is what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much, Luke.
These players seem mentally different to me.
Would you agree with that, Luke? Is it a mentally strong squad? That's the question from Loz there.
I think that certainly one of the things that I was very, very keen to do from day one. So imagine day one, I don't know whether the guys are mentally strong or not. I don't want to listen too much to what people, because people are very quick to say, this one's weak, this one's no good, this one will let you down. I think we would all like to go into a new work environment and the new manager to say, it's a clean slate. But then it's a clean slate, but this is what you have to do. And I'm telling you very clearly, this is what you have to do. Many of the things are like completely non-negotiable. You know, some of the things, like, for example, I'm there, I'm screaming at Ruben to be the position here, more or there, and then he ignores me, nutmegs someone, make a goal. He says, okay, yeah. But there's certain things that are not up for discussion. We train a lot. We train very, very hard. Almost every single time we go on the training pitch, we train like flat out. When we have a meeting, you're present, you sit up, you look properly, you listen, you're engaged. There's no phones, there's no looking the floor, there's no whispering. You know, we're here to work. You know, and I think many of the players came on board with that. I think if you do that type of thing a lot, day in, day out, in the end it becomes a habit that you only have this type of way of being, you know. And so we have to, now the challenge is like maintain that all the time. No feeling sorry for ourselves because we didn't play enough minutes. No sulking because the opposition was a tough one. You know, no thinking, oh, we're top, we turn up 5 minutes late. Oh, we won the game and the manager's still killing us about 2 actions in the game. You know, Torquay crossed the ball once in the box and we had one guy not marking. And I know there's a moment when the players want to say to me, Gaffer, please, stop it, it's too much. But they know that's not that's not how we're working. So if you do that enough, I think hopefully you become used to being engaged all the time. Thinking, engaged, be on the pitch, engaged, physically tough, running a lot, thinking a lot, train a lot. That's the only way. And then I think like that, hopefully everybody in the room, whatever we do, of course we need to try to be at the very, very top, we know. But whatever we do, at least everyone can be proud, like the guys gave everything to respect you guys that are the club. We have to respect you by working very, very hard. That's the truth.
Thanks, Luke. Good answer.
That's the truth.
We will break after this question, but I'm really keen to make sure we ask it because, as I mentioned earlier, there's some fantastic supporters of the academy. I can see Gerwin over there. Pete Dennis, another question from him. Now we've lost EPPP category academy status and the EFL funding that comes with it. Chris and Alex, are you still committed to the academy model going forward, or are you more likely to go down the B team route?
Yeah, as you say, we've lost that status, but we're running it pretty much at an equivalent to the Category 3, and Dan Livers and the team there are doing a fantastic job, and it's certainly the plan that once we hopefully come back to the EFL, then we can easily operate a Category 3 then. So that's still the plan.
Gerwin, I'm looking at you. Is that a good answer for you? Okay, thank you very much. Well, that's an interesting point. For those that can't hear, Gerwin, who watches a lot of our B team games, says that it's nice to see the way the younger teams replicate the style of play. And Luke, just to end before the interval, is that something that you've had a conversation with Dan and insisted on, or is it something that he's come to you with?
No, that's a very important question, because I really, really strongly believe, like Dan, Craig, like the other coaches in the academy, they can be sitting here. They're very, very good coaches. There's no reason they're not sitting here. Something different happens in your career or this or that. You have a different opportunity, and I can be on that side, they can be on this side. So I respect them like hugely, so much. And when I first got a chance to sit down and have a calm conversation, I said, look, I'm not here to say to you, do this and do that, and it has to be my way, because you guys have brilliant ideas, I'm sure, and you have your own way. I don't want to shackle a coach, and it's a horrible thing to be a coach with, enthusiasm, excitement, and someone says, forget everything and do what I want. I didn't want that. But then equally I said, look, on one hand is this conversation, on the second hand is like, anything you want to ask me, you come and ask me, because we have the same badge. We're the same club. So it's not like I don't want them to know what we're doing, or I'm worried they're trying to find this out there. No, it's not that at all. You want something from me to listen or to learn how I do or how I want to do something because you're interested, anytime. If you say, Luke, with all due respect, we have better ideas than you, we're better coaches than you, no problem. And then from that, they came to see me, organised a nice time to meet. We looked at some actions. You can imagine how long they was there, and I started talking. I think they regret, but we started talking, and then I went to watch the FA Youth Cup game, and I couldn't leave. I was trying to leave because I thought I need to get out, and we have training the next day. It's late. I had a long day. I was tired. I need to get out of the car park before it gets crazy, but it's impossible because they played so good. They played so good, and every time I got close to the gate, they created a chance, and then I'm nearly back there watching again, and I was so happy. And the way that they play, with intensity, many times I've seen young players come up with first team, whether it's Swindon, Bristol City, Swansea, MK Dons, all these clubs, good clubs, and they have a good youth team set up, and the guys come in and they walk around like they cracked it and chewing gum. They don't do the laces, or they're not. These guys come up incredible, but I mean every single one of them comes up incredible, and like they train like ferocious. As soon as training finish, thank you. They help with the stuff. They don't need to be told. They help equipment, blah blah. They come here. Yeah, they eat all the food is the only problem because they're young guys and eat all the food. The manager after time has no food, Richard. No, because I do all the meetings. But no, honestly, and they sit there in the meetings. They listen. Then I watched them the other day in the. Thank you, and incredible. Who's the very young guy? I keep meaning to find out. Gil. Oh my god. Oh my God! This guy he got kicked relentlessly, like through the whole game, and he'd take the ball. He's like a tiny Ruben Rodriguez, you know. And to see that, and the way that they played, and the attitude that they have to it was incredible. Again, we watched the game. We couldn't leave. The staff trying to leave, but we saw 5 more minutes.
Do you see future first team players there?
Yeah, for sure. You know, Luther is there and close. Then Lucian played the other day. Of course, Colville was tough because Colville have, you know, the last time I was up against a team with Chambers in, it was in League One. You know, this guy's a serious player, knows what he's doing, clever, and so Lucian is learning. And then I watch him playing in the second team, and he's so confident and strong. And of course, because the level's different, but. Then you see Bradley. I mean, Bradley needs to stop fouling, but he made 200. We call him Brad the Impaler because every time we go near a first team player, I wince, you know. But he's incredible. Like he's incredible. The way he conducts himself, he has quality with the ball. I don't see any reason why he doesn't continue calmly on a path and be out there for sure, and many others.
Just a final point, Pete, going. I know there's a group of you that go to every game that you can, B, C, D team. Thank you so much. I know that Dan Levers and all of the players really appreciate it. So thank you for your support of the young lads. They really appreciate that.
Brilliant.
Right, who's ready for a pint then? I think we'll have a 10-minute, 15-minute interval. So the bar's open, toilet's down there, and we'll see you in 10, 15 minutes, guys. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute, and we'll get going again, please. Would you like me to come to you first, John? Would you like me to come to you first? Right then. The gentlemen to my right have kindly agreed to go to 9 o'clock, but I understand some of you will have taxis booked, etc. So please don't feel like you're being rude if you do need to go earlier. So the second part of the evening is questions from the floor. So it's your opportunity to pose a few questions to the guys. I know that John, you're very keen to ask some questions yourself, John from the OSA. So would you like to just wait for Jordan to preview the mic and let us know what you'd like to ask?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, can I congratulate the club and the manager on the performances that's taking place at the present time. It's been really fantastic. I've been told by many families, because I'm a local councillor, district and county, that many of them can't go to evening matches because of the lateness of the start. I mean, years ago, the reason behind it 7:45 was the fact that people were at jobs until 6 o'clock at night. That's not the case now. And I just wondered what your thoughts are on trying to get back some of the supporters, the youngsters, back to watch the evening games, say starting at 7 p.m. rather than 7:45. I know that at the present time, all clubs do start at 7:45 or 8 o'clock, even 8 o'clock, but it does stop the opportunity of a lot of the families from coming to these night matches. That's the first question.
Great. Just for the benefit of the room, just in case you couldn't quite hear that and the people watching on the stream, John's question was, would there be any benefit to applying to the league or asking the league permission to start midweek matches at 7 o'clock? Chris, Alex, do you have a response?
It's an interesting point, I think. Well, personally, I wouldn't have anything against that, but I think my understanding is that there were still some concerns about how that would affect attendance figures due to the reasons that you mentioned with people, even if, I don't know exactly what time someone would need to leave work to get to the stadium and so on. It is, I think, something that could certainly be looked at. I suspect there are still reasons why that is the preferred time, but I think it's an interesting idea to sort of reconsider some things that, even if they've been a certain way for a number of years, there could be reasons for changing it at some point. So I don't see why we couldn't investigate that. But yeah, I don't know exactly what the reasons are actually why.
Yes, it needs investigating really, because attendances are, I mean, our youngsters, supporting the club are the most important, because many of us are in the 70s, unfortunately, and we haven't got. We won't be here forever, and it's essential that you've got some supporters who are ready to take on our, on our position.
Yeah,
First of all, I feel, and a lot of people for now feeling that all matches should be an experience, not just a football match. Should be an experience that they thoroughly enjoy. What we thought about, I mean, before the game, having a rallying call type of thing, something like Sweet Caroline or something like that. So as the players come onto the pitch, I mean, yes, we do have the wheelbarrow song, but it's not a rallying call kind of thing, and I just wondered what you thought about that, having a really nice piece of music where people can come on and all sing to as they all come on, or singing when they score a goal as well. I just wondered what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I know that a lot of clubs in Denmark have that, but personally, I don't have a strong opinion on that subject, but I think. I guess it's something we could potentially survey amongst the fans, but in my opinion, it's the fans.
Well, what it can do, you see, is raise the profile of the game, and really lift the players if they're not playing too well at that time. So it's all about making a real impression on the players as well.
John, what I would say on that, I do have something of an opinion on it, is if you look at anthems like You'll Never Walk Alone, for example, which presumably that's the sort of effect that you're looking to achieve.
Exactly.
These sort of anthems are born out of culture of a city or culture within a fan base. It's not Liverpool saying, this is the song, you now sing it. It has to happen organically for me. I don't know if people would generally agree with that. So listen, everybody in this room wants the matchday atmosphere to be the best it can be. We want the game to be, the crowd to be absolutely rocking when the teams walk out. That's what we want. But I don't think the club itself can set you guys an anthem to get behind, because my taste in music is completely different to everybody else. So what I would say, I think it's a great point, but what I would say is we've got some fantastic OSA, Sports Club are here, fantastic communities across our social media platforms. A combined effort from you guys would be great in canvassing opinion, and perhaps a report into the club, which we can then sort of see and take into account, and maybe that's the way that we drive things forward, because certainly it's something that we want to improve, but I don't necessarily think it's something that we can drive ourselves. I think over to the fans to decide what you want.
I'm glad you've said that, because I think the Supporters Association have been thinking about that issue. Great. And now you've said you would love us to do something about it. We might try.
Brilliant. Please do.
So
and that applies to everybody in the room, not just one supporter group. It'd be great if everybody worked together on it. And because that's the only way it's going to work, is everyone needs to be singing together, and it would be good if everyone combined their opinion and their knowledge, and we can move forward in that way.
Now, the next issue is a suggestion that players not involved in the game could before the game and at half-time, mingle with the crowd, giving out autographs and so forth, raising the profile of the supporters. It doesn't happen at the present time. They all sit in the stand. I've seen in a big long line. I just wondered if that's a situation we could look at.
Yeah, I think and I don't want to speak in turn for Luke here, but one thing that I've noticed a lot this season has been that the players who aren't in the squad generally have a job to do, and that's either A, they train in the morning and then have to come back here to recover from that and shower and get ready to support the team, or B, in Jim O'Brien's case, as Luke mentioned earlier, they have a coaching role. They have to be around the lads and all that sort of stuff. What I will say is that the players sit in just below the press box, which is my sort of domain, and I see them crossing paths with a lot of fans sort of in hospitality. Now, I understand you're probably coming more from a junior sort of supporter aspect in terms of family stand, but I do think that you don't necessarily always see what the players are doing on a match day and how hard they work. Luke, is that something that you would agree with?
Yeah, I think you've answered that very well, Nick, because first of all, anybody who's not in the squad, who's not injured, trains with me and the other coaching staff on a match day, and they train very hard because they need to try to simulate the type of workload that they would do in a game. And so, yeah, of course, they do need to come back here and eat. One or two times I've actually stolen my sandwiches, which became a bit of an issue, but that didn't go down very well. But no, and then of course they do need to be often with the players that are starting the game just before kick-off, to make sure that we have everybody there to to wish the boys well and to try to be one group. But I'm sure there's bits and pieces at the same time that they can do, as long as it's well organised and so on. I think that Lewis has been raffling off boots for the young fans in a covert way, so that they definitely win.
Yeah. And what I would say, Jordan, who's had a commercial here, would be happy to speak about any sort of junior initiatives or fan engagement initiatives after the end of the event. John, I know you've got a few more to ask. I just want to clarify to everybody in the room that we will come to everybody before 9 o'clock. John's put a lot of thought and effort into some of the questions, and I think it's important, the whole of the OSA, I think it's important that we hear you out. John, go for it.
Schools are very, very important. Schools are very, very important to Notts County. I know that Nottingham Forest do quite a bit of work in the schools. I know we do a little bit. But what I'm trying to say is it possible that we could organise an ambassador type person, not to get paid, a councillor or something like that, actually going into the schools asking if the school would visit Notts County, all 1,500 of them, and open up the Jimmy Cyril stand and have a five-a-side competition at the same time with the 4 or 5 schools with the one school with the five-a-side position, and also invite the school to be the flag wavers, so something to involve all the schools. Now we've got 7 district councils in Nottinghamshire, 7, and we've got Nottingham City Council, and we've got a Nottinghamshire County Council. There are lots of things that we could do. It needs looking at. I mean, it's not a situation where you'll win everything, but I would like to see that looked into, and it would be nice to see the opportunity for the school to have a fancy dress position where they all get dressed up as magpies or whatever it is, and have a 50-metre dash along the playing field.
John, what I will say is that I think the club's done a great job this year, and this is Jordan's team. It's done a very good job of engaging kids on a match day. So we've seen the half-time relay. We've seen Young Pies sell out its membership for the first time, certainly in my time at the club, and I know that's something that the guys are looking to expand next year. So I take your point, but I think you only have to look at the football for a £5 offer as well. Under 16s £1, under 7s are free, under 12s are £1 for normal matches. I think the club are doing a significant amount of work to engage younger fans. And a lot of the ideas you've discussed there, they take a lot of work to implement. And we are a small team. We all do our best, but we have to be realistic, I think, sometimes. But what I can assure everybody in the room is that young supporters are a huge priority for all of us, not just me, for Luke, for Chris, for Alex, and for the wider commercial team as well. So we're doing everything we can to keep them engaged.
My final 2 questions.
Chris has got
to that. I absolutely agree on the importance of engaging the younger fans in the schools and so on. I personally remember I have some of my clear football memories from a younger age. So I may remember the World Cup when I was 10 years old better than the last one. So I think what happens in your childhood that can make a lasting impression, and that is where the future fans can be created. So absolutely agree on the idea, and I think we have some, as Nick has said, already doing some things, and we can definitely look at other ways to get children.
And can I say the Supporters Association have asked me to say this one. Could twice a year look at the possibility of organising meet the players. Well, we talked about it. Yeah.
What I would say to that, John, is we had an open training session at the start of the season for young pies. There'll be a Christmas party. There'll no doubt be an Easter party as well. So we do feel like that area is pretty well covered.
And the final point is some of the players. Is it possible for them to visit some of our schools on a monthly basis or something like that? Just because I can tell you the children would be thrilled to see professional footballers visit their schools, and if it is possible, it would be really a good thing.
If you don't,
for this club,
I'll answer that one as well for now, if you don't mind, John. I think Luke might have something to add to the end of this response. Is that again, it's a new one on me, but the lads tend to report for training at 8 a.m. and I quite often see them leaving at 4 p.m. And that is an incredibly rare thing in football. I've been in football 10 years now. I've never seen players be at a stadium for that long. So, unfortunately, I'm not sure it's massively practical. That's not because anybody on here doesn't want our players to be in schools, but I think we all acknowledge in the room right now the priority is the lads being prepared as possible for a weekend. Luke, can you just back that up in terms of how hard the players work on a daily basis?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we have got some appearances scheduled in. I think when we play Saturday, Tuesday, the schedule is very demanding. The travel, the players, very often they will play on a Tuesday night and get back at the early hours maybe, and then the next day they're in. and the ones who didn't play too many minutes and the ones who didn't get on the pitch and the guys that were left behind, they train hard. And then when they finish training and the guys that played extended minutes have finished doing recovery work, they then come together for meetings to analyse where we need to improve or something that we've done well. Sometimes, again, as Nick is saying, is sometimes we're going on until beyond 4 o'clock, even if we start later. So we completely understand the importance of meeting the community, and I feel like we have a group that are happy to do that, that are good in that sort of social environment. They're very, very engaged with young people, so I don't think we have a problem with that. I think it's more comes down to the schedule, and particularly if we play 2 games a week, it's very, very tough.
Can I just say that
Hi, Wendy.
my granddaughter to the young guys training session.
Lovely.
Absolutely fabulous.
Good. It's good to hear.
They came and they had participation with everyone, and every time we meet the Notts County players, and I have my picture taken with the granddaughter. They're all lovely.
That's great.
Particularly Richard Greenberg.
Brins is a charmer. Just for the benefit of the stream and anybody who didn't hear Wendy, she was just complimenting the open training session for the young pies at the start of the season. Thank you for that, Wendy. John, thank you. You put a lot of effort into those questions, so we appreciate that. Right, who else? Yes, sir. We'll just Anna will bring the microphone over to you. If you could just hold it nice and close to your mouth, just so everybody on the stream watching at home can hear as well, please.
This is a question to Luke. This club's greatest managers have always had a good number 2. So my question to you is, Ryan Harley, how good is he and what is he bringing into the club? Because the way the two of you seem to work is fantastic. We do need a strong number 2. I'm sure I'll be manageable.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, he's still able to join in as a player, and he's a special player. You know, he's really Ryan is some of his qualities are like Premier League. You know, other parts of his game he didn't quite work out enough. A few different bits and pieces, and then look, of course, the difference between a guy being at a club in the Championship and getting promoted and then staying in the Premier League is you know, it's tiny. You know, look at Steve Cook, for example. I worked with Steve when he was 18 at Brighton. Went on loan to Eastbourne. Told me he was going to sign for Eastbourne. I managed to convince him to sign one more contract at Brighton to play for the under-21s. He went to Bournemouth on loan in League Two, and they said, "Oh, look, we'll take him off your hands for next to nothing." And Brighton said, "Yeah, this boy's never going to play top football, so you can have him for a small fee." Got promoted. Played how many, you know, I don't know how many Premier League games back in the Premier League. Ryan Harley is the type of player that, without a doubt, he could have played, you know, many Premier League games, many more Championship games than he did. Small things at that level with that type of quality, small things, and that's just him as a player. As a man, very, very switched on, can see everything is going on. So he's perfect for me because I can be fussy about things and quite intense, and of course that can irritate people a lot if you have a different mentality and you don't feel like small things are an issue. But Ryan understands that the small things add up and they become the big things, and so I'm very, very grateful that he came here to work with me, and he's been incredible, and he's going to improve is the other thing. That's the most wonderful thing. He's going to improve because he's still so new to the role, because he's only just really retired as a player, and so he's going to improve, and the players love him because when he joins in, he's incredible. He makes like small sessions for the players that I've asked him specifically to deliver certain things, and he does it incredibly well. And the players appreciate, because when a guy is there and he's making like a session for 2 or 3 players, and he's really, really going at it, you know, and he's giving everything, and you can see at the end of the session the coach is exhausted. The players are not silly; they know this guy really trying, and this guy's smart, and he gets it. So I really appreciate the question, because it's nice for me to be able to, you know, to let people know what a great asset he is.
Thanks, Luke. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Who's got a question? Jordan, go to the back there, and then we'll come to you, sir.
It's another question for Luke. When you actually applied for the job here, why not? Why did you drop down to the National League? And what were your expectations, and how is your role actually meeting those expectations now?
Honestly, I was fed up of going to clubs that had no idea what they were doing, and try to give them a style of play and a way of working, and try really, really, really hard and give everything every single day, and then they're not as invested as I am. And so, of course, when you work really, really hard every single day and you try so hard, but ultimately the people that run the club have a different motive. Maybe not there to try to actually really try to be successful and win. Maybe they're for different things, and I'll leave your imagination to that. But in the end, it becomes like Groundhog Day. You go to the club, they don't seem to have a very clear idea what they want to do. There seems to be power struggles everywhere. And then you work very, very hard, very, very hard. You start to build up, you know, like a way of behaving, a way of working from the training ground to the pitch, and that's it. And everything else is not being done in the same way. It becomes very, very difficult. But when I started to understand what was going on here, I started to think, no, it's maybe too good to be true. Surely not everyone is trying to win. Everyone is pulling in the same direction. And then, of course, when I was very, very fortunate, because Richard made a Zoom meeting with me, and then off the back of that, I was invited to meet Chris and Alex. And then when I had that conversation, I realised, nice, they really are determined, and they really are saying the same things Richard is saying. Everything is the same, and they can demonstrate to you that what they're saying has been thoroughly worked out. And so then you think, okay, if I go here and try and give everything I've got to give, all the other people are going to do the same. And then you think, okay, well, ultimately I'll be judged on the performance, the results of the team. But everyone is, every single manager, every time I went to a club, normally even if I'm not the manager, I'm the guy responsible for coaching the team every single day. And so often you've done a great job and you work so hard, but you get judged on other people not really trying as hard and tinkering around, and one day motivated, one day not, one day interested, one day not. And so here I believe that every single member of staff is really focused on one thing and one thing only. And then I need to just really give every single thing, knowing and trusting that I'm going to be supported to do that. That's the difference.
Thank you, Luke. Very
Thank
good
you.
answer. Thank you.
Are the players doing the same thing?
I think it's difficult for them not to, because we operate in a way that is more professional than many of the other teams. And regardless of resources, it's not about resources. Players leave the club and then they tell the players, yeah, I made a mistake leaving, or you don't know what you got there because of the way the club is being managed. And then, of course, it's easy to see that you are in the stands. It's easy to see that the Cop is the best stand in the division. It's easy to see the playing surface is immaculate. But that can cover up things. And what is behind is ultimately when you see teams have a steady course, is what's going on behind. When you see a team have one fantastic season and then pop and they're back to square one, that's because behind the pitch and the stand and the players is nothing. And that's not fair.
Thanks, Luke. Is it Luke? Yeah. From one Luke to another.
Hi. I just want to say, as something that I've observed, Luke was more than happy to talk to fans during the interval rather than actually having a break. In the past, we've had a lot of managers where we've sort of thought, do they really care? Do they really get it? And we can see, you get it. You understand what us, the fans, want. We can sort of notice you don't take any nonsense. We've sort of had in the past, or do the players really care? But we can see the players care, you care, and it's brilliant to see. But my question is for all three of you, if you like. Some teams in this league operate with a long throw. It's something that Notts particularly haven't operated with in this league. I was just curious on your thoughts on the advantages of one, or not the advantages of one. Yeah.
It's a really, really good question. Throw-ins are actually, throughout all of the leagues, surprisingly difficult to retain. It's incredible because the ball gets thrown in and you don't go away from the game thinking, how many throw-ins did they retain? But it's our job. And our percentages of retaining throw-ins are extremely high. I'm happy with that. And for me, the most important thing is that, and it's difficult sometimes to say you're good at something, but I think factually it's fair to say that in this division at this moment in time, we are the best team from open play. We create the most chances and score the most goals when we play and we arrive in the box and we smash the ball across the box, or we go inside and we hit, more often than not, Macca, and we put Macca in front of the goalkeeper. We're the best. So in the end I said, okay, let's work very hard to get the ball into open play where the players practice, I really hope, more than all the other teams, we practice how to take the ball in any situation and arrive in the box. If we can arrive in the box with Macca, I'm happy beyond anything else. So I say to myself, if we practice the most to get the ball into open play, and we are now seeing that we're creating and scoring the most from open play, I say, okay, let's not if it's not broke, let's not change too much. I would love us to be able to add, but for us to add, we need to go to training and they need to throw it long and convince me without any doubt that they are they're consistently gonna, until they convince me, because already they've shown me that when we play on the floor and we arrive in the box, we're the best.
Can't say fairer than that. Do you want to follow up? Yeah.
So in different interviews, Macca's sort of said he's always been a wide player, and it was your decision to sort of play him centrally.
Yeah.
How did you sort of come to that thinking? Because it seems to be an absolute masterstroke.
I have a good track record with strikers. And I think that when I started to watch Macaulay more closely in the first 2 weeks, the big thing that I recognise that I have seen before in one or two other guys is instinct. When he gets in there, somehow his heart rate goes down, not up. And only one or two, I was very, very fortunate, okay, because, and some people probably already know this, but my best friend on the planet is Bobby Zamora. Bobby Zamora was an incredible goal scorer. And I mean, from when I was a young boy and we played together, he always scored. And when you gave Bobby the ball inside the box, you just start walking back because he's a goal. Some guys, they strike the ball incredible. In training, they're there, they do everything correct, but somehow when they get in there, they can make it complicated. They can pause for a moment. They can second guess themselves. Macca just hits the ball so many times, the correct one. And so when I recognised that he had this type of instinct that I've seen before, I decide to make him like the least touches of every player in the team, but the most touches inside the frame of the goal. And so far, he has the least touches of every player, but the most in the frame of the goal. So, yeah, sometimes you get things right. Other times you try something, it doesn't work. You need to change something or persist with it, and then eventually you persist with something, it still doesn't work, you have to change. Other times, it's like this with Maka, you put him there, get the team to understand how to use him, get Maka to understand his role, and then everything worked out in this occasion so far.
Two great questions, Ed. Brandon, yeah?
First of all, can I say thank you to the owners? It makes a huge difference actually having owners that work really well behind the scenes rather than wanting to be the centre of attention at this club. Then my actual question is, feel free to disagree, but in my opinion, last season Notts lost the league and the playoffs due to being too nice to play against the smaller teams such as Aldershot, Eastleigh and Torquay, and Altrincham, especially away from home. Teams enjoyed playing against Notts. I just wondered if the owners saw that as well, and Luke, if you saw that when you was applying for the role at Notts County, and how can we ensure that this doesn't happen again this season? Because I genuinely think that cost us the league last year.
Chris and Alex, start with you.
Well, I think there's no doubt that this season we are performing at a higher level than last season and previous seasons as well. And that is not just based on the league position, but analysing the performances, the chances created versus conceded, and so on. So that is a very positive thing for us. We're still quite early into the season, so we need to make sure that we maintain that level of performance. But so far, we're very happy with the performances. I don't know on the sort of the specific games you refer to. Obviously, Luke, you won't probably know those games so well, but
yeah, I think it is something that you know, myself and Ryan began to watch footage from last season when we had spoken to Chris and Alex, and I loved it. I loved a lot of what I was seeing. I was really, really excited because so much of the performance I thought was very encouraging. The team already had a desire to like have the ball a lot, but only not because I thought anything was wrong. Honestly, genuinely, I didn't watch it and think, this is not good, or they should do this, because every coach has their different ideas, and the margin between good and bad sometimes can be really, really very, very fine. But for me personally, you know, I want any team I work with to be very, very difficult to get at. And you know, we often we analyse the game very often 2 cuts of grass. So you know, we see dark cut, light cut of grass. We try to judge when we go into the final third, in particular, for the opposition to not be able to make 2 cuts of grass is one of the key objectives. If they make the halfway line, is like okay, is acceptable. If they go into half, is a problem. So I think 20 minutes into the game against Bromley, I think 20 minutes in, they'd had 4 touches in our half. And so the big message with the Bromley game was you came off of your performance level. You came off of your performance level. Now, I know it's easy for me to say you're fatigued, you're tired. Too easy. So I looked at the players and said to them, I know what you're thinking. I can hear. Don't think I can't hear inside your heads, because I can. I can hear you saying, we're tired. We keep going and going and going, and the other team are just sitting there. So what? It's not an excuse. We're not counting. We're going, and the other team needs to come away from here saying, thank God we don't have to go back there this season. And that's the key objective. I love them to play good football with the ball. I love it. It's incredible, but not at the expense of us being easy on the flip side. I love to see Badge play a nice pass, but I like to see him hit the opposition more. And I like to see him hit them 2 cuts of grass after they took the ball. I like to see Aidan play a nice pass and open the game up and run through the middle of the pitch and shoot like he did at Dagenham. But I like to see him scruff up the centre forward more. I like to see the centre forward going to the bench like this. I like that more. I love to see Adam Chickson arrive to far post. He's brilliant. But I love to see Adam Chickson defend our far post more. When he marks the opposition and they end up in a heap on the floor, I love it. When We played Leicester, and Iniacho said to me after the game, "You brought this guy on specifically for me, huh?" And I said to Iniacho, "Don't flatter yourself. We defend everybody like that. We defend everybody like that." And so, of course, to maintain all the time is difficult. It's difficult to maintain every single action, every single moment of every game like that. Young players, you look at some of the guys came in, I think it's the highest level, Richard, maybe all of the signings in the summer is the highest level they played at senior football. So we have a duty to say to them, okay, we're going up a level and we're demanding that you get to the level immediately, no excuse. And for the most part, the guys are doing that. But yeah, it's really, really important to me. It's really important to me that we're mean, that we're difficult to play against, that teams know that they've been in a tough game, not just, oh, they were nice, they passed the ball good, and blah, blah, blah. It's only one side of the game. Without the other side, it's not interesting to me. I tell you, nothing, honestly.
For the stream, Loz's question is, what's Luke done to Chickson?
Honestly, not one thing. Chickson is a miracle. He's like every single thing that everyone deserves. Yeah, okay, one or two times I would love him to see 3 step-overs, nutmeg a guy. It's not, Chicks doesn't have that, but he makes up for it with every single thing else. And when you attack the far post and you have no history of attacking the far post, it's not in your DNA as a player, then you're brave. And you're prepared to miss. And I don't know what to say about Chicks, because every single day, every day, Chicks leads a meeting with the other wing-backs. I asked him, Chicks, can you look at I'm sick of my own voice, believe it or not, I was sick of. And I said to Chicks, you lead the meeting. And he stood up, and he showed the clips. Not good enough from me, not good enough from you. The problem is, when you're a player and you sit there and you watch him every single day, the way he trains, the way he prepares, the way he recovers, you can't say anything. You can't say to him, I'll leave it out, Chicks. It's too much. You can't say it. So in that way, he's bulletproof. Yeah, Chicks can come out the team. He's playing badly, his form is not there or whatever. Yeah, he might come out the team, but he's never ever going to be because he let himself down, or he let the people that is your club. He's never going to let you down, and that's why I done nothing. He done everything.
Great answer again, Luke. We're coming up to 9 o'clock. Can I just get a gauge of everybody who wants to ask a question? Just 'cause I would hate for anybody to leave. So we've got about 4 or 5 or 6. Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll work from right to left. So I know there's a gentleman on the end of that table there. And I'll just reiterate, if anybody does need to go, got a taxi or anything, please don't feel you're being rude. I just want to make sure everyone gets a chance to ask what they want to ask.
That's just a question for Chris and Alex more than anything. I just want to know if the money from the sale of Cal Roberts is going to be made available to strengthen the squad if it's needed.
Yeah, it's generally our strategy that income from player sales we want to reinvest in the playing squad. So there is a possibility to bring in someone, but we only want to bring in players if we find the right one. We're really happy with the squad right now. Obviously, we're performing really well, but you can always improve. So if there is a really interesting opportunity, then that is something we could look into.
That's the question. Who was next? Pete. So just down the front here, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you. For Luke, really. Everybody's impressed with the high-intensity game that we've got this season, but of course it is very demanding on the players. It's noticeable if you look at, say, Bielsa's teams at Leeds in the past, that they play a very high-intensity game, but come February time, they find it difficult to keep it going. Do you have any concerns of that?
That's a really good point, and I looked at that team, and of course ultimately they became accustomed to it. I don't think we want to be that patient. We want success as quickly as we possibly can get it. I think the key to it, and potentially this is something that we all can do in this room. I honestly believe that the key to it is that sometimes we need to be able to control the game and be slower, and we need to do our defensive work with the ball. It's difficult because we want to sit there, we want to see the team cross the halfway line and go to the box like we do. I believe that we don't waste a pass, we go very, very quickly through the pitch, and we go very, very aggressively to the box. And I'm determined to make that like a feature of the team, because I think it's exciting for you to watch. Then I think if we're going to do that, the quicker we go to the box, the less time we have to be organised to hit the opposition within 2 cuts of grass. So that's where it becomes very, very demanding. I would like us to be able to rest on the ball at times, and it's a slow development, because I need the squad of players to understand that first and foremost, when the whistle goes, we're going there to destroy the other team immediately. We're going to take the ball, arrive in their box, and then stop them getting to the halfway line. That has to be a trademark of us. But then there needs to be a different rhythm in the game where we can calmly stay on the ball. The only time I've seen it this season was Wildstone away when we went to 10, because then, for the first time, the players ever heard me saying to slow down, because we needed to manage the game. And in actual fact, we were able to play with one less player to make the game look like we had 2 more. But I would like us to be able to avoid the burnout by being able to be ferocious, and then really, not in the way that Bromley do it, but in our way, to suffocate the game. You know, to go all the way to the brink and then come out of a position where we need to either finish the action or we need to defend. To like almost avoid the opponent and be able to use the pitch in a way to like hide and seek with the ball. The problem is we need to get the balance of this correctly, and we need to have the stadium not be too like anxious with us. And it's not your responsibility, it's ours. And I know that. We need to be able to demonstrate to everybody in the stadium that we can be in front, and then we can slow the game down and play without causing ourselves too many problems. We need to convince you that we can do that. And I think that is a way that, in my mind, I'm preparing for the, later stages. Potentially, I'm always trying to think of what is going to come in the future, and this is one of the ways I think we can do that.
Okay, quick supplementary. Noticeable that both last year and this year we have good home records, and we win most of the home games. But this year we're much better away from home. Is that down solely to the intensity, or is it down to tactics?
We have a model that we tactically that we take home and away. I change small positions, particularly in the middle of the pitch, because I think it helps the flow from one box to the other. What we do in one box when we're attacking is almost always the same, and what we do in the other box when we're defending is like non-negotiable. We probably, if you have a keen eye, you see there is we mark very, very closely inside the box. There's no grey areas. I've been in many change rooms. People here have got the experience coming in the change room. It wasn't my guy, it was his, and this one, and I couldn't get there. I can't stand it. I can't tolerate it. It's absolutely clear, black and white. This is your player, you mark. And if you don't mark, you're held accountable, you didn't mark. And everybody's going to watch, and everyone's going to see you didn't mark your player. Then Maka, if Maka is outside the frame of the goal, or is not in the absolute key position that I want him in to score, I don't care he scored 17 or 70, he's getting told off. If Chickson didn't make the far and Aaron didn't make the far post, there's a problem. If at least one midfield player, depending on the structure in the middle of the pitch, if they're not in the key position, there's a problem. So home and away, a little bit, I change the middle of the pitch for flow. Occasionally 2 strikers. But other than that, the model is very, very much the same. So then you arrive at the opposition pitch and you say, okay, is the same. The goals are in the same position. The halfway line is down the middle. So everything should be very, very similar. And then it's maybe some anxiety control because of a different... But I think if we play intense, you forget. I think if we play with real intensity, you forget. And that's like why, you know, like Woking was incredible, because they just went like, with every single player, everyone was pressing. But then when we kicked the ball forward, we done the same to them. We done the same. So we told them, you're in a game where you want to press us, we're going to press you, but be careful because we have better players. So as long as we arrive with a structure that we understand and some small changes in the middle of the pitch that we will work on for sure in training, so that the guys understand, then depending on the crystal ball that I don't have, that I try to anticipate, we maybe have to change to 2 players at the bottom and 2 at the top in the box, or 2 at the bottom and 1 in the middle, like Ruben played at the end of the... So these small things, but I'd like to think that they go and they know certain things are going to be exactly the same. And if we do them correctly, we have a chance. So that is hopefully how we can survive a poor performance away.
Thanks, Pete. Keep moving along on it. Gentleman here.
First of all, a negative. There has been some rumblings about the PA system that we've got in the ground. It can be tweaked, I can tell you that, because I was instrumental in getting the thing from Highfield Road at Coventry to Notts County, because I wasn't happy with the standard of the PA system we had here. Okay, but we got that for £5,000. So don't knock it, because it's a good investment, I thought. But anyway, apart from that, I just want to say, on behalf of everybody, what an amazing job you guys are doing. Yeah, and when I don't know whether you saw the comments of the Wealdstone manager after the game, but he said that Notts County were the best team that he'd ever seen in the Nationwide League, in the National League rather. So I hope you got a good inner smile from that, because we're all smiling, I think, and we do appreciate what you're doing.
No, I appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've got a long way to go. We have to earn that.
Just before I move to the next question, who's next? Anybody? Yeah. Oh, sorry, one behind you, Anna. Anna, just back there in the tracksuit. If you just raise your hand, sir, please. Just on the PA system, just wanted to mention that it's something the club are looking at, and well, I think it's a bit worse than that, but as somebody who has been the PA announcer in the past, it is a bit more temperamental these days. But over to you, sir.
Question for Luke. Recently, obviously, Charlie's called you the Pep Guardiola. But what manager inspired you? When you doing your badges? Was it with your training grounds, working with different managers?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Pep is the greatest ever. I worked with Gus Poyet at Brighton. Was the first manager I worked with, and he was just incredible. Like the top of my head just came off. You know, I just couldn't. It was, yeah, just amazing coach, amazing person, and I learned like incredible amount of things from Gus. And then of course when you're a young coach and you have like a lot of ideas and enthusiasm, but then you need some way of being able to start to try to work them out, you know. And Gus helped me with that, incredible. And he was like, day one he said to me, right, I don't know about coaching. You're going to be the coach of the second team. When I turn up and watch, you better have all the ball and you better have all the chances. And so then it's like, okay, this guy's a legend, like, and I've been watching him play in top football, and he's like nearly 7 foot tall and like scared the life out of me. But then with that small like information, very clear. And then I had to go and work out, okay, we need to we need to do this. We need to have all the ball and all the chances. And so I began like trying to experiment with different formations and different messages to the players and different ways of trying to make a training session. And Gus would help me to like challenge me on this and that. And then, you know, I mean, he told me a story once about playing against Barcelona at Camp Nou against Maradona, and the problems that they encountered playing against that Barcelona team, and why they couldn't quite get to press properly, and how the whole team enabled Maradona to do whatever he wanted, and everybody else covering up, and all these incredible insights that I picked up. And for me, that was at the beginning of my coaching journey, and it kind of set me up for being able to experiment with things that I wanted to do and have this incredible insight from somebody that played at the very, very top level. And he's still keep in touch now. He's still a friend of mine now, and I've been to visit him at, you know, when he was a Sunderland manager and so on and that. He's incredible. So he's without any question, is my biggest influence.
Thanks for the question there. How many more have we got left? I'm just conscious of time, so we've got 2 left. That's perfect. That'll wrap us up nicely.
Okay, this question goes for Luke individually and the club. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And that goes for both Luke's career and the club's ambitions, really.
Okay, we'll start with you, Luke, then. Where are you going to be in 5 years? Yeah. Tell us.
No, honestly,
do we need to get a padlock on him?
If I do a good enough job here, enough job, where is there a better football club to be in, with what is going on now? Where is there a better football club to be? Honestly, because the only ones that are trying to do things in this way are like top Premier League teams. So for me to be a top Premier League manager, I need to earn it, and to earn it, I need to try to be successful here. And then I need to be successful going forward to earn the right one day to be, you know, a top Premier League club. And can Notts County even be a top Premier League club? Yeah. Why not? So I don't. The only way I'm not going to be here for that period of time is because I didn't do a good enough job, and somebody had to come in to do a better job than me.
Very good answer. Chris, Alex, does a 5-year plan exist in your minds, or?
I think it does exist, but if you think about sort of in what league we're playing in, if that is what is meant, then that is hard to predict, because we can influence how good the team is and maximize our chances of promotion, but we can't. It's impossible for anyone to affect the result of a single game. We saw if you'd asked us when we came to the club in the 1920 season where we would be in 5 years, that was also very hard to predict, because we were in the playoff final the first year, so we could have, had we had one good game, we could have been in the EFL now. But it's very difficult to predict in that sense. But in terms of where we want to be as a club, I think we see this as, we think the club can continue to improve. I mean, one area that Alex and I are very interested in ourselves is recruitment, and we work a lot on models that can help us identify the right players. And I think with recruitment, we are now in a definitely stronger state than a few years ago. But that doesn't mean that we can't improve. I still think we can get much better at that. Not because we are bad at it now, but just because it's so complex to look at all the football players in England and other countries and say, this player is this good, this player is this good, and what is the financial value of that player, what is it worth paying that player in salary. So I think I believe we will improve a lot as a club in that sense. I think we will be in a higher league, but I can't say where we will be precisely in that sense.
Does that answer the question okay? Yeah. We'll finish it off with the gentleman over there.
Thank you. This is for Chris and Alex. So first of all, thank you for coming in and buying the club and providing the stability that I think we all crave for an awfully long time. So thank you for that. I've no doubt that as part of that, you did huge amounts of due diligence, but I'd be interested to know, in a good way, what surprised you about what you've bought, and what's, in a bad way, surprised you about what you've bought.
Are we going to do good cop, bad cop, or?
I honestly don't think there have been any bad things about it. That there are no ghosts, or what do you call it, in the closet. I think it's we knew that this was a great club with fantastic tradition, but I think you don't know it really until you've been at the games and met everyone, and including all of you here. The support that you provide, your sort of passion for the club is incredible, and I think we've seen during COVID that football without fans is really nothing. It's the day we came back to after the first time we had people in the stadium again after COVID. That was an incredible experience, I think. So I think the whole support that the club has from the supporters and the city is even better than what we could have imagined.
Yeah, I would like to add that I think we've been fortunate to take over a club that has had a really brilliant team of people behind the scenes as well. I think obviously we didn't have the chance to meet everyone of the staff when we did the due diligence. So I think we've been really lucky and happy with all the people behind the scenes. The staff were doing a fantastic job. In addition to, of course, all the brilliant fans that we've really enjoyed meeting around the country. We've certainly learned a bit more about. We've been to places that we haven't been to before, even though we've lived in the country. We've lived in the country for a long time, but it's been really interesting to go around and meet a lot of the fans around the stadiums. So we don't have any. There's no bad surprises.
I think a nice way to end would be to throw it over to Luke, actually. Luke, you've obviously experienced life at many clubs. You'll have had a perception of what Notts County is as a club. What surprised you in a negative way or in a positive way?
Oh, yeah, I mean, over the years it was in League One was the only time I came up against Notts County, and it was normally a comfortable game. You know, and you thought, oh, this is not right, something is wrong, because this game shouldn't be easy. I think we won here very comfortably, won 2 seasons in a row. I think we won at home as well, very comfortably, and you could feel that something was not right. So then you have that image in your mind that it's a club that is like incredible, because of course, when you arrive on the bus, you look and you think, oh, nice, and then you go inside and you think, yeah, it's a proper football club. Go to the pitch. Actually, the pitch went through some bad times as well. It became a bit dusty. But you know, you look around the surroundings and you think, this is a really good club, and it's a club you know, and you see the iconic kit, and you think, and of course, it gives the players like a boost, because they feel, we're playing against Notts County. But then at the time, Notts County didn't live up to the hype, you know, and it genuinely was like a feeling of like, it's a bit sad, because they should be a better. And then of course coming here now and being a part of it is like, you think, no, come on, we have to do this. Like we have to give everything, because it doesn't get better, you know, it doesn't get better. So it's been incredible to be a part of it, and to you know, stand on the technical area and see the team come out, and to be in charge of the team with that iconic strip, and you know, to win and score a goal with the feeling is just like, yeah, you cannot describe the feeling. I wish I can give to you, and you can experience just once, to stand in a technical area with a team in front, and to feel what it's like to have you behind me and you in the cop, and that I'll never be able to, you know, explain what that feels like. It's incredible. So thank you for that.
Well, that feels like a very nice point to end on. What I will say from a personal point of view, I've done a few of these fans forums over the years, and for me, that was the most insightful and engaging and open one that I've been a part of. So I think it'd be nice if you all join me in a round of applause for our fantastic panel. Luke's just got another point.
Yeah, there is, unfortunately, there is one small issue that whoever parked in my space when they arrived today is a big problem, okay?
Anybody going to own up? Morning. Can anybody own up to that? Presumably you didn't know you were doing it, otherwise you wouldn't have. No. Okay. And the very, very final point from all of us on this table is you guys are the season ticket holders. You're the lifeblood. You're the ones that commit to the season at the start of the season, and believe me, that's not lost on anybody on this table. So thank you very much to you guys. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in on the stream tonight as well, giving up their evening. And we'll see you here for the Football for a Fiver game. Spread the word, get some tickets sold, and let's make it a massive event and atmosphere. Thank you very much. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.